up high in the Sierra Peaks where the yeller pines grow tall, old Sandy Bob and Buster Jig had a rodeo camp one fall. And they'd taken their hosses and their running irons, maybe a dog or two, and they allowed to brand all the long-eared calves that came within their view. And any old doggy that flapped long ear and didn't bush up by day, they'd crop his ears and scorch his hide in the most artistic way. Now one day, old Sandy Bob, he throws his Seago down, says, "I'm tired of smelling burning hair. I allows we'll go to town." So they saddles up and they hits him a lope, for it weren't no slight of a ride. And them was the days when a buckaroo, he'd oil up his insides. And they started in the Kentucky bar at the head of Whiskey Row, and they wound up down at the depot house some 40 drinks below. And they set her up and they turned around and they headed the other way. And to tell you the god-awful truth, them boys got stewed that day. And as they were riding back to camp, they were packing a pretty good load, when who but the devil himself should come prancing down the road. Says he, "You ornery cowboy skunks, you'd better hunt your holes, 'cause I've come up from Hex Rim Rock to gather up your souls." Says Sandy Bob, "You devil be darned, we boys is kind of tight, but you ain't gonna gather no cowboy souls unless you have some kind of fight." So he punches a hole in his old Seago and he throws her straight and true. And he laps around the devil's horns and he'd taken his dallies too. Now, Buster Jig, he's a reatter man with his gut line coiled up neat, shaking me out, and he built him a loop and he lassoed the devil's feet. And they stretched him out and they tailed him down while the irons were getting hot. And they cropped and they swallow forked his ears and they branded him up a lot. And they pruned him with a dehorning saw, and they tied a knot in his tail for a joke. And they rode off and they left him there neck to a blackjack oak. So you ever up high on them Sierra Peaks and you hear one heck of a wail, it's just that devil a-bellerin' about the knot tied in his tail.
I like that.
That's about what we got for you this morning. I always like to finish with this little poem from a fella named Baxter Black. And you know, so many of you come here year after year at the same time, and it's not only your families, but the friends that you make here at the Alisal. And your kids make friends here, and their kids are going to make friends here as the years go by. So this little one from Baxter Black kind of sums it all up. Friend is a word I don't throw around. Though it's used and abused, I still like the sound. And I save it for people who done right by me, and I know I can count on if ever need be. Now, some of my friends drive big limousines, hold ranches and banks, and visit with queens. And some of my friends are up to their neck in overdue notes and can't write a check. They're singers and ropers and writers of prose. And others, God bless them, they can't blow their own nose. I guess being friends don't have nothing to do with money or talent or knowing who's who. Now, it's a comfortable feeling when you don't have to care about choosing your words or being quite fair. Because friends will just listen and let go on by those words you don't mean and not bat an eye. Now, it makes a friend happy to see your success. They're proud of your good side and forgive all the rest. And that ain't so easy all the time, because sometimes I get crazy and just seem to go plumb blind. Now, a friend just might have to take you on home, or remind you sometimes you're not all alone, or ever so gently pull you down to the ground when you think you can fly when no one's around. So a hug or a shake, whatever seems right, it's the high point of giving, I'll tell you tonight. All worldly riches and tributes of men can't hold a candle to the worth of a friend.
Hey, all right.
Well, you guys have been a great audience. I really appreciate it. Over there we got a couple places. Cowboys and cowgirls there. If you're riding back, be sure and drain your holding tank. It's a long ride back and we don't stop on the trail.